bear with me, I'm new to this, so I might take a while. Right, I'm going to launch. And again, I know that some of you can't see this, but I've left the question up on the board. So we've got, what is this called, with a big red arrow pointing to the blue blobby bit. Not very scientific in my terminology there, blue blobby bit, but in the middle. And is it the nucleus, the cytoplasm, the mitochondria, or the cell membrane? And again, you guys are doing really, really well on responding to this poll, because I can see how quickly your answers are coming in. Okay. Going to give you a little bit longer just to have a think. The big blob bit, not the little ones, the big one. What's that called? Okay, going to give it 3 more seconds and then I'm going to end the poll because it'll have been about a minute. So if you're not sure, you can have a look and these slides come up, so you can always answer them on the slides in your classroom. This will go up on your classrooms afterwards. Okay, I'm going to end the poll. There we go, and I'm just going to share the result. And I think that's really good that 85% of you recognise that that is the nucleus. So the big bit in the middle of an animal cell is going to be the nucleus. The mitochondria are these little tiny ones there. Okay, so I would always say if it's the biggest one in the middle, it's always going to be the nucleus. And I'm going to try and think of some ways of trying to remember how to spot them, but it is a case of studying the pictures. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing the result and I'm going to just minimize my poll and I'm going to move on to the next slide. Now this is a little task for you to do when you get your slides. So this is a table. Okay, and when I talked through it earlier, and I'll just quickly talk through it again, you put the structure, so that's its sort of form, into this bit, and then the function is what it does. So for example, the nucleus, the structure is the DNA, the fact that it's got the DNA there, and then the function would be that it's the control center. Okay, and then I've talked all through these, so when you get the PowerPoint slide, you'll be able to fill this in, and I'll fill the first one in for you so that when your teachers upload it, you've got that example there. And again, we're always there to help if you need a little bit of help with this one. But this is going to be available for you, so you should be able to find those. I'm going to move on to the next one now. Now this is a plant cell, okay? And you can see there's a long list of different parts running down the side. We've got the cytoplasm, which you saw in the animal cell, and it has the same job here. It is the chemical reactions happen here. We've got the nucleus, again, completely same job. Okay, so that is where the DNA is, and it's the control center. Again, we've got the cell membrane, and this bit's really important. Okay, this is the inner bit, and that allows things in and out of the cell, and it's the one on the inside of the plant. And that's really, really important to remember, because plants have got this new one here, which is the cellulose cell wall, and I put a star by it so you can see that that's plants only. And that one has the job of providing structure and support for the cell, so it doesn't go all flippy floppy and it can stay nice and firm so your plants keep their shape. But that one's on the outside, and then the cell membrane is on the inside. We've then got the mitochondrion, and again, exactly the same job. That's for respiration, and it's found in both animals and plant cells. And then we've got this one here, which is called the permanent vacuole, and that's plants only. And this is the massive blobby bit in a plant cell, and that's filled with sap. Okay, and again, that provides it with a bit of rigidity, so nice and supportive for that plant cell. Okay, and that one's bigger than the nucleus, but it's there. And then lastly, we've got the green ones. And I think it's always important they are green on the plant cell. They're in plants only. I always think plants are green. And they contain a pigment called chlorophyll. And chlorophyll is really, 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 really important because it allows plants to photosynthesize. And you'll learn more about photosynthesis, but it's how plants make their glucose. Okay, so it's really important. You'll get a lot of questions about what is it that plant cells have that animal cells don't, and the three are the cellulose cell wall, the permanent vacuole, and the chloroplast. Okay, and both of them have the mitochondria, the cell membrane, the nucleus and the cytoplasm. Again, I'm going to stop for a second to give you a little chance to study the picture and have a look at them all. I'm going to tell you, you might want to keep an eye on cell membrane and cell wall, just to be nice. Okay, and I'll see if there's any more questions while I'm giving you a chance to just have a look at that and see the different bits. Can't see any questions at the top. Okay. Oh, one question. Cells are awesome, by the way. It's one of my favourite bits of biology, just while I'm waiting for you to have a quick look. But we're all made of cells, so not plant cells, we're animal cells. And hopefully you're all getting to look at plants and enjoy plants at the moment with the lovely weather. Okay, I'm going to move it on. Okay, so my next slide has got another question, and I'm just going to find the poll again. Okay, this is my last little poll question for you. Okay, bear with me. I'm going to launch that, and I'm just going to move it out of the way so everyone can see. So what is this called? Is it the vacuole, the cell membrane, the cell wall, the cellulose cell wall, or the chloroplast? And the arrow, just how I can be nice and clear, is pointing to the inner one. So the one on the inside, what's that called? Slightly trickier question, this one, because I was a bit mean. Occasionally I am mean. Okay, I'm going to give you a little bit longer. Now, what's this one on the inside of the plant cell called? Okay, given that about a minute, so I'm going to end the poll and I'm going to share the result with you and I'm going to talk about it. Okay, so 59% of you, which is awesome, recognise that was the cell membrane, and then we've got 32% of you that thought it was the cell wall. And the reason I put this question in is because this happens an awful lot. So my key thing would be membrane is always going to be the win on the inside. And then if you think about it, where are the walls of your house? Walls of your house are on the outside of your house. So the line on the outside is going to be the wall. That's my sort of analogy of how trying to remember which is which. So with plant cells, we've got the membrane, which is on the inside, and that's the one in an animal and a plant cell. And then the wall, like our houses, is the bit around the outside of the plant cell. And hopefully that will help you see where we might have muddled there. But I did do this in a really, really mean way, because sometimes you could look like they were both, but it's pointing very clearly to the inside one. Right, I'm going to stop sharing the results. Just close that off. Okay. Again, I've got a little table for you when you get this lesson, and this is just so you can fill out the structure and the function of the plant cell only ones. And you'll notice I've just put plant cell only because I didn't want you repeating the animal cell ones. The animal cell ones are in both, but these are only in the plant. And then we've got the structure, and again, I'll fill this in. So this one, the structure is the cell sap, and then the function of the vacuole for a plant is to help it maintain its structure. And again, I talked through all of these on the slide, so I don't want to go through them again. If there's any questions, let your teachers know, or rewind the video when you get a chance. Okay, now I'm going to show you the next slide, which is going to be your task slide for the week. And this is sort of me putting my little spin on it. So you can see we've got a little kitten at the top. And these are the questions I'd expect everyone to be able to do, because they're kitten questions. Okay, and they're what parts are found in both an animal and a plant cell, and you just list them. And then what's the role of the nucleus? And you just put what the nucleus does down. And then we've got slightly harder questions, and I think most of you'd like to attempt these ones, and they're the tiger questions. Okay, and then what is the structure and the function of the chloroplasts, followed by what is the structure and the function of the mitochondria. Okay, and they're slightly harder than the kitten questions, but you can give them a go. And then if you want a super duper challenge, you'll notice my roaring lion question at the bottom, and that's why do plant cells have chloroplasts and how are they adapted for their function? as well as compare and contrast an animal and a plant cell and the roles of those organelles. So they're your really tricky questions, and I'd expect some of you to get them, but I don't want anyone worrying if they can't get them. So they're going to be your key questions to answer this week. And then if you finish that, I've put a few little tasks on the next slide, which I'll just introduce you to. Okay, so if you feel you've completed them, oh, I've got some raised hands again. If you want to ask a question in the little Q&A place, then we can answer it. You can either, and you may have done this already, by the way, I can see some of my class putting their hands up. I know you've probably done them. You could either create a model using random things at home, and I'll put this example in of the Lego example. You could create a poster, or you could create flashcards. And if you've already done that, don't worry about doing it again. It's just so you've got something to do. Okay, I'm going to move back to the kitten and tiger questions, which will go up in your classroom. That is actually me done with animal and plant cells. So if you have any questions, now is the time to ask them in the classroom, because we are here and we are happy to help. And I hope you enjoyed it, by the way.
That's actually a good question that's popped up just now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make my video appear as well. So you should be able to see me as well now. A couple of people have asked a couple of things. So the first one was, when I talk, can I make my video appear so that they can see me? Here I am. It's a really good question. Do we have to do this work as well in our Google Classroom? The point of the webinar was to explain the information that was going to be in the work that's set for you for the week. So the point of this webinar is that you are able to, Miss has just explained all of the information you need to be able to do your week's work. And now all of your teachers are going to put these slides in your Google Classroom and give you a week to do it. Miss Wanstall will be back next week to do another webinar to explain the next work. Another really good question is, what's the point of the raised hand? We're not actually able to do anything with the raised hand apart from see that you've done it. It's much better to put a question in the Q&A box. I think that's all of the questions. I think that's all of the questions that have been done. Yeah. Sorry, Miss. I'm going to go away now. I'm going to turn my video off.
I've seen your face there. So I think, are we done, sir?
Yep, I think we're done. So thank you all very much for coming. It's fantastic to see so many people. Just so that people have got an idea, at the most we had 138 people in this, which makes this the biggest science webinar we have done so far.
You're all amazing, by the way, and hopefully you've enjoyed it.
But the meeting is, the webinar is now over, so you can all now leave.
Bye-bye.